The massive crystal chamber sparkled with thousands of lights as alien beings from across the galaxy gathered for their most important meeting in centuries. Ambassador Kefe floated near the center podium, his blue translucent body shimmering with worry. Around him sat representatives from 47 different worlds, all peaceful species that had never known war. Kefe activated the holographic display with a gentle wave of his hand. Images filled the air above them, strange broadcasts from a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. The beings called themselves humans, and their transmissions had been reaching the galaxy for the past 50 years. "Look at what they show each other for entertainment," Kefe said, his voice trembling through the universal translator. The first image showed humans in metal armor hitting each other with weapons while crowds cheered loudly. Blood splattered across the ground as the warriors fought. Council member Vextar, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, pointed at another display. "They watch explosions for pleasure. Look, entire buildings destroyed, vehicles crashing, beings running in terror. And they call this entertainment." The gathered aliens murmured in shock and confusion. In their civilizations, entertainment meant beautiful music, peaceful art, or gentle competitions of skill. None of them had ever seen anything like human television, movies, or sports. Yilneth from the Crystalline Collective tried to find hope in the disturbing images. Perhaps these are religious ceremonies? Many young species have strange rituals before they mature. But Kefe shook his head and displayed something far worse. "This is what they call a war movie." The hologram showed massive human armies fighting each other with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Tanks rolled across battlefields, aircraft dropped bombs from the sky, and soldiers fought with tactical precision that impressed and terrified the alien observers. "They study violence like we study mathematics," whispered Vextar. "Look at their coordination, their planning, their weapons technology. This is not primitive ritual, this is advanced warfare." For 3 months, the Galactic Council debated what to do about humanity. Some wanted to ignore them and hope they would mature beyond violence. Others suggested destroying them before they became a threat. But the majority voted for peaceful contact. Surely any species could be taught the ways of galactic harmony. The diplomatic ship Harmony's Dawn was their most beautiful vessel, designed to inspire awe and peace in any species that saw it. Made of living crystal that sang gentle melodies, powered by pure light, and decorated with gifts from every member world, it represented everything good about galactic civilization. Captain Veldar had conducted first contact with 12 species over his long career. Each time had followed the same peaceful pattern: approach slowly, broadcast messages of friendship, exchange cultural gifts, then spend months learning about each other through art and philosophy. But as the Harmony's Dawn approached Earth's moon, something went wrong immediately. "Captain," called the sensor officer, his voice filled with confusion. "The humans are scanning us. Deep penetration scans of our hull composition, our power systems, our propulsion signatures. Perhaps they're just curious about our technology," Captain Veldar suggested hopefully. "No sir, these are military-grade sensor sweeps. They're analyzing our defensive capabilities and looking for weaknesses. They're treating us like a potential threat." Before the captain could respond, human spacecraft appeared around them. Small, aggressive-looking vessels with weapon ports and armor plating surrounded the beautiful diplomatic ship. The contrast was stark. The alien vessel looked like a work of art, while the human ships looked designed for war. The human communication came through on multiple frequencies simultaneously. "Unknown vessel, this is Colonel Lee Minho of the United Earth Defense Force. You will submit to escort and inspection. Any hostile movement will be met with defensive action." Captain Veldar had never heard such aggressive language during first contact. Usually, new species greeted them with wonder and gratitude for being welcomed into galactic society. The humans sounded like they were preparing for battle. When Colonel Minho came aboard the alien ship, the diplomatic team was shocked by his appearance. Instead of robes or ceremonial dress like most species wore for important meetings, he arrived in military uniform with weapons attached to his belt. His eyes constantly scanned the alien ship, clearly studying its layout and capabilities. Ambassador Kefe tried to begin the traditional first contact ceremony by offering gifts of crystal art and recordings of peaceful music from their homeworld. But Colonel Minho barely looked at them. "What other species exist in your galaxy?" Minho asked immediately through the translation device. His voice was sharp and demanding. "How many of them have military capabilities? What kind of weapons do they possess? How do you defend your worlds against attack?" The alien diplomats looked at each other in growing alarm. In thousands of years of galactic history, No species had ever asked about weapons and military power during first contact. New species usually wanted to know about art, culture, philosophy, or trade opportunities. We are a peaceful galaxy, Ambassador HFY explained gently. We have no weapons because we have no enemies. All conflicts are resolved through discussion and compromise. Colonel Minho's expression grew more serious. No weapons at all? No defensive systems? No military training? He looked around at the beautiful crystal ship with its singing walls and decorative gardens. How do you protect yourselves from hostile forces? There are no hostile forces, Vextar replied, confused by the question. But Minho shook his head firmly. There are always hostile forces. You just haven't found them yet. As the meeting continued, the alien diplomats realized with growing horror that humanity approached everything like a military problem to be solved. The humans had not greeted them with wonder or gratitude. Instead, they had immediately begun studying alien technology for advantages and weaknesses. When the Harmony's Dawn returned to the Galactic Council, Captain Veldhar's report sent shock waves through the peaceful assembly. Humanity was not just another species ready for gentle guidance into galactic civilization. They were something the galaxy had never encountered before, a species that treated first contact like the opening move in a potential war. The great crystal chamber of the Galactic Council had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 47 different worlds floated, crawled, and walked in worried circles as emergency alarms echoed through the massive space. High Counselor Zephram, his ancient form glowing with stress patterns, called for silence with a sound that reached every species present. Friends, we face our greatest crisis in 10,000 years, Zephram announced, his voice heavy with sadness. The human situation has become far worse than we ever imagined. For 3 months, the Council's best scientists had been studying every piece of information they could gather about Earth and its inhabitants. What they discovered made their worst fears seem like pleasant dreams. Dr. Yilneth, the galaxy's leading expert on new species, floated to the center of the chamber carrying data crystals filled with intercepted human communications. Her crystalline body flickered with nervous energy as she began her report. The humans are not just violent in their entertainment, she said, activating holographic displays around the chamber. Their entire planet is organized for warfare. They have separate military organizations for land, sea, air, and space. Every major nation maintains standing armies with millions of soldiers. The assembled aliens watched in horror as the displays showed human military bases, weapon factories, and training facilities scattered across every continent on Earth. Unlike the peaceful worlds of the galaxy, where conflicts were rare and quickly resolved through discussion, Earth seemed to be in a constant state of preparation for war. But surely they must have some peaceful elements, suggested Ambassador HFY hopefully. All species have both violent and peaceful members. Dr. Yilnetha's response crushed that hope. Their peaceful activities are often preparations for conflict. They call it sports, but look at this. The display showed human Olympic Games, with runners training to move faster than any enemy, swimmers building endurance for long missions, and athletes competing with the intensity of warriors. Counselor Vextar studied the data with growing alarm. What about their weapons capabilities? The answer terrified everyone present. Humans possessed nuclear weapons, bombs powerful enough to destroy entire cities in seconds. They had enough of these weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. Even more frightening, they continued building new and more powerful weapons every year. They have turned their own sun into a potential weapon, Dr. Yilneth continued, showing images of human space mirrors and solar collectors. They study how to focus stellar energy, how to manipulate gravity, how to weaponize anything they encounter. But the most disturbing discovery came from their analysis of human behavior after first contact. Instead of celebrating their entrance into galactic civilization like every other species, humans had immediately begun studying and copying alien technology. Within hours of our diplomatic visit, human engineers were analyzing our crystal technology, Dr. Yilneth reported. They have already built crude copies of our energy systems. They are treating our gesture of friendship as an opportunity to steal military secrets. The evidence was overwhelming. Hidden cameras and sensors had recorded human military leaders discussing how to duplicate alien propulsion systems. Human scientists were working day and night to understand alien materials and energy sources. Most shocking of all, human entertainment had begun featuring stories about fighting and defeating alien invaders. They see us as future enemies, concluded Dr. Yilneth. Every communication we intercept shows them preparing for war against galactic civilization. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some council members wanted to destroy humanity immediately, before they could become a threat to peaceful worlds. Others suggested sending more diplomatic missions to try to teach humans the benefits of peace. But the majority reached a different conclusion. "We must quarantine them," High Counselor Zephyram announced after the final vote. "Not as punishment but as protection. We will contain them within their solar system until they mature beyond their violent nature. Perhaps in a few thousand years, they will be ready to join galactic society." The quarantine barrier was a marvel of galactic technology. A network of energy fields surrounding Earth's solar system would prevent any human vessel from traveling to the stars. The barrier was invisible and harmless, designed to simply stop human ships from leaving their home system. It was meant to be a kindness, a way to protect both humanity and the galaxy while the violent species learned better ways. The galaxy's greatest engineers worked for weeks to build the containment system. They were proud of their work, believing they had found a peaceful solution to a dangerous problem. The barrier would last for thousands of years, giving humanity plenty of time to evolve beyond their warlike nature. But the human response destroyed every prediction the aliens had made. Within 30 days, human spacecraft appeared at the edge of the quarantine barrier. The aliens expected pleas for freedom or attempts to negotiate. Instead, human scientist Dr. Park Ji-woo led teams of engineers who began systematically testing every aspect of the energy field. "They are not trying to communicate with us," reported the surveillance officer monitoring human activity. "They are studying the barrier like an enemy fortification. They are looking for ways to break through." The humans approached the quarantine like a military problem to be solved. They sent probes to test different frequencies and energy levels. They fired various weapons at the barrier to study its reactions. They even crashed unmanned spacecraft into it to gather data about its construction. Most disturbing of all, human society began adapting to the challenge. Their entertainment industry produced movies about brave humans breaking through alien prison barriers. Human children played video games where the goal was escaping galactic containment. Human scientists worked around the clock developing new technologies specifically designed to penetrate the quarantine field. "They are treating our protection as an attack," Counselor Vextar observed while reviewing the surveillance data. Where other species would spend decades in philosophical debate about the meaning of containment, humans immediately began developing weapons to fight it. The galaxy watched in growing alarm as humanity united behind a single goal: breaking free from alien control. The quarantine that was meant to contain their violence had instead focused it into a laser-sharp purpose. Within months, human technology was advancing faster than ever before, driven by their determination to escape what they saw as an alien prison. The peaceful species of the galaxy began to realize they had made a terrible mistake. Instead of containing the threat, they had given humanity a reason to become everything they feared most. Admiral Kim Soo-jin gripped the metal railing of the bridge as the defiant explorer hummed with power around her. Through the massive viewing window, she could see the edge of their solar system and the invisible barrier that had trapped humanity for 6 long months. Today that would change forever. The ship was humanity's greatest achievement, a vessel built from alien technology they had studied and improved upon. Every piece of equipment had been designed with one purpose: breaking through the galactic quarantine that kept them imprisoned in their own star system. "Final systems check complete, Admiral," reported Navigation Officer Han Boare, her fingers dancing across the control panel. "The gravitational slingshot is ready. We'll use our own sun's pull to launch us faster than any alien ship has ever traveled." Kim nodded grimly. The plan was dangerous and had never been attempted before. They would fly directly toward the sun, using its massive gravity to accelerate their ship to incredible speeds, then curve around it like a stone thrown from a slingshot. The aliens had never seen anything like it because no civilized species would risk flying so close to a star. But humans were not like other species. They had learned to turn everything into a weapon, even their own sun. "Debris field status?" Kim asked, turning to Tactical Officer Choi Min-suk. "All prepared, Admiral," Min-suk replied, checking his instruments. "We have collected thousands of small rocks and metal pieces. When we hit the barrier at 30% light speed, these tiny projectiles will strike first. If their energy field cannot handle the impact, we will punch right through." The alien quarantine barrier was designed to stop normal spacecraft traveling at normal speeds. The peaceful species of the galaxy had never imagined that anyone would turn space garbage into bullets and fire them at incredible velocities. To them, such tactics were unthinkable. But humans thought differently. They had spent months studying the barrier, testing it with probes and weapons, learning its weaknesses. While the aliens expected them to eventually ask politely to be released, humanity had been preparing for war. "All ships report ready," announced Communications Officer Lee Jae-sung. Behind the Defiant Explorer, 7 more human vessels waited for the signal. Each ship carried the same dangerous modifications, the same willingness to risk everything for freedom. Kim took a deep breath and gave the order that would change galactic history forever. Begin the approach. All ships follow my lead. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do when they are threatened. The Defiant Explorer began its dangerous dive toward the sun. The ship's hull grew hot as they approached the massive star, but the alien cooling systems they had copied and improved kept them safe. Faster and faster they accelerated, using the sun's own gravity as their engine. At exactly 1437 Galactic Standard Time, the human fleet reached the perfect trajectory. Kim watched the readings climb as their speed approached levels that should have been impossible for any spacecraft to achieve safely. Barrier contact in 10 seconds, Han Boare called out. Speed is 31% light velocity. Debris field deployed. The moment of truth arrived with a flash of brilliant light. Thousands of tiny rocks and metal fragments struck the alien energy field at incredible speed, followed instantly by 8 human starships moving faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The quarantine barrier, designed to gently stop peaceful spacecraft, shattered like glass hit by a hammer. Energy discharges lit up space as the alien technology failed catastrophically. The Defiant Explorer burst through the failing field in a shower of sparks and radiation, with the rest of the human fleet close behind. On the bridge, the crew cheered as they realized their impossible plan had worked. They were free of the alien prison, free to explore the galaxy, free to show the universe that humanity would not be contained. But their celebration was short-lived. Long-range sensors detected alien ships approaching fast, the Galactic Council's emergency response fleet, probably expecting to find debris and failure instead of successful human vessels. Multiple alien contacts incoming, reported Min-suk. Looks like a full battle fleet. They are not happy that we escaped. Kim smiled coldly. Let them come. We have work to do. While the alien fleet was still days away, the humans moved with the speed and efficiency that had helped them survive on their dangerous homeworld. Instead of fleeing or hiding, they immediately began establishing bases in the nearby Proxima star system. The alien response fleet, led by Council Fleet Commander Yethval, arrived to find something that shocked them beyond words. Not only had the humans escaped impossible containment, but they had already built mining operations, space stations, and defensive positions in a star system that had been empty just days before. How is this possible? Yethval whispered, staring at the scanner readings. They are strip mining entire asteroids while simultaneously constructing orbital habitats. No species works this fast. The human approach to space colonization was unlike anything in galactic history. Where peaceful species spent decades carefully studying new worlds before building small research stations, humans treated each star system like territory to be conquered and claimed. They built everything with military precision and industrial efficiency. Even more disturbing was how they had prepared for conflict. Every human mining station had weapon platforms. Every human transport ship carried military-grade shields and armaments. They had turned peaceful colonization into a military operation, building their new empire as if they expected attack at any moment. Look at their construction methods, observed the fleet's science officer. They are building redundant systems, hidden backup facilities, and escape routes. They are planning for war even while mining asteroids. As reports reached the Galactic Council about human expansion across multiple star systems, the peaceful species of the galaxy faced a terrifying reality. Humanity had not just broken free from containment, they had used their imprisonment as motivation to become stronger, faster, and more dangerous than ever before. The quarantine meant to protect galactic civilization had instead created the very threat it was designed to prevent. Humanity was now loose among the stars, armed with alien technology they had improved upon, and convinced that the galaxy was full of enemies who would try to cage them again. War was no longer a possibility. It had become inevitable. Dr. Yoon Haein stood at the edge of the great crystal chamber, her hands shaking slightly as she watched 47 different alien species take their places. Never in galactic history had a human been allowed to address the full Galactic Council. The only reason she was here now was because both sides were preparing for a war that might destroy entire star systems. The chamber itself was beautiful beyond imagination. Walls of living crystal sang gentle melodies while floating gardens drifted overhead. Beings of pure energy mixed with creatures made of metal and stone. Some floated in pools of liquid while others needed special breathing equipment. It was a place designed for peace, but today the air hummed with tension and fear. High Counselor Zephram, his ancient crystalline body glowing with stress patterns, called for silence. His voice reached every corner of the massive space through translation devices that had taken thousands of years to perfect. "We gather today to hear from the human ambassador," Zephram announced, his tone heavy with reluctance. "Perhaps diplomacy can prevent the war that seems inevitable." Heian walked slowly to the central podium, feeling the weight of every alien gaze upon her. She had studied interspecies communication her entire life, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The future of both humanity and galactic civilization might depend on the next few minutes. "Honored council members," she began, her voice steady despite her nervousness. The translation devices around the chamber immediately converted her words into 47 different languages, creating a symphony of alien sounds. "I believe we have all made a terrible mistake. We have been misunderstanding each other in the worst possible way." A ripple of movement went through the assembled aliens. High Counselor Zephram's crystalline form shifted colors, showing his nervousness. "Ambassador Yoon, your species has shown clear signs of aggression. Your rapid expansion across multiple star systems, your heavily armed ships, your treatment of every peaceful contact as a potential threat, these actions speak louder than words." Heian took a deep breath. What she was about to say would either prevent a war or make it certain. "Counselor, everything you see as aggression is actually how we survived. May I ask you about your homeworld?" The question seemed to confuse the aliens. Counselor Vextar, his tall silver form towering above the others, answered first. "My homeworld of Zephyr Prime enjoys gentle weather year-round. We have soft rains that water our crops and gentle breezes that power our cities. The largest dangerous animal is about the size of what you might call a small bird." "Thank you," Heian said, then looked toward the crystalline collective representative. "And your world?" "We sing to crystal formations that provide all the energy and nutrients we need," came the reply. "Our planet has no weather changes, no earthquakes, no dangerous creatures. It has been stable for millions of years." One by one, Heian asked the same question of different council members. Each answer was similar: worlds of gentle weather, abundant food, no natural disasters, and no dangerous animals. These were paradise planets where life was easy and safe. Finally, Heian activated the holographic display system in the center of the chamber. The aliens watched as images of Earth filled the air around them. But these were not the peaceful scenes they expected. "This is our world," Heian said quietly. "Earth tried to kill us every single day for 300,000 years. The first image showed massive glaciers covering entire continents. Ice ages that lasted tens of thousands of years. Our ancestors had to survive in frozen wastelands where nothing could grow. The next image showed volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun. Supervolcanoes that covered half the planet in ash and poison gas. Mass extinctions that wiped out most life on Earth multiple times. More images followed: massive predators with teeth like swords, diseases that killed millions, earthquakes that swallowed cities, hurricanes that flattened forests, droughts that turned fertile land into desert. We shared our planet with creatures that could crush us with one bite," Heian continued, showing images of dinosaurs, saber-toothed cats, and giant bears. "We survived plagues that killed half our population. We lived through natural disasters that could destroy entire civilizations overnight." The alien council members watched in horrified silence. None of their species had ever faced such constant threats. Their worlds were safe places where evolution had been gentle and kind. "Every human trait you find threatening: our competitiveness, our rapid adaptation, our assumption that dangers hide around every corner, these are not signs of evil," Heian explained. "These are survival tools. Our planet taught us that everything wants to kill us until proven otherwise." She showed more images: early humans working together to hunt massive predators, building shelters against terrible storms, developing weapons to defend against creatures 10 times their size. "We approach your quarantine like a military siege because that is how we approach every problem, as something that might destroy us if we do not solve it quickly and completely," Heian said. "We build weapons and fortifications not because we want to attack you, but because our world taught us that threats can appear without warning." The chamber fell completely silent as the implications became clear. Counselor Yilneth was the first to speak, her voice filled with wonder and horror. "You are not preparing to conquer us," she said slowly. "You are preparing to defend us." Heian nodded sadly. "We assumed the galaxy was dangerous because our world taught us that everything is dangerous until proven safe. When we met you, we immediately began building defenses because we thought we were protecting our new neighbors from threats we had not yet discovered." The truth hit the council like a physical blow. Humanity's greatest strength, their ability to survive anything, had been completely misunderstood. The humans were not galactic conquerors. They were survivors who thought they were protecting a galaxy full of peaceful neighbors from unknown dangers. "We have made a catastrophic error," High Counselor Zephram admitted, his crystalline body flickering with shame. "We saw your strength as aggression when it was actually your greatest gift." The misunderstanding was complete and mutual. Two civilizations had been preparing for war based on fear and misinterpretation. But now, finally, both sides understood the truth. The emergency alarms screamed through the crystal chambers of the Galactic Council as Ambassador HFY rushed to deliver the most terrifying news in 50,000 years of galactic history. His blue translucent form flickered with panic as he activated the holographic displays showing the Outer Rim territories. "They came without warning," HFY reported, his voice shaking through the universal translator. "Massive battle stations, bigger than our largest cities, appeared near the Andorian colonies. They destroyed everything in minutes." High Counselor Zephram studied the images with growing horror. The attack had been swift and merciless. 3 entire star systems had been wiped clean of all life. Planets that had hosted peaceful civilizations for thousands of years were now nothing but burned rocks floating in space. "Who could have done this?" asked Counselor Vextar, his 4 silver arms trembling with shock. "We have no enemies in the galaxy. All conflicts have been resolved through peaceful discussion for centuries." Dr. Yilneth, the Council's leading scientist, had been analyzing the wreckage from the destroyed colonies. Her crystalline body pulsed with urgent light patterns as she shared her findings. "These are not ships from any known species," she reported. "The technology is incredibly ancient but still functional. Based on the design patterns, I estimate these battle stations are at least 50,000 years old." The revelation sent waves of fear through the assembled aliens. 50,000 years ago, the galaxy had been very different. Ancient records spoke of violent civilizations that had destroyed themselves in terrible wars, leaving behind only ruins and warnings about technologies too dangerous to use. "The Builders," whispered High Counselor Zephram, using the name historians gave to the mysterious ancient race. "We thought they had all died out. Their battle stations must have been sleeping all this time, waiting for something to wake them up." The answer came from human deep space monitoring stations. Dr. Park Ji-woo, the same scientist who had helped humanity break through the quarantine barrier, appeared on the communication screen with grim news. "Our sensor sweeps accidentally triggered their activation protocols," Park admitted, his face heavy with guilt. "We were mapping the Outer Rim territories when our scans reached some kind of automated defense grid. The ancient systems interpreted our sensors as an attack and activated their war protocols." The irony was terrible. Humanity's cautious exploration, their habit of scanning everything for potential threats, had awakened a danger that had been sleeping since before galactic civilization began. More reports flooded in hourly. The ancient battle stations were moving through space, systematically destroying any signs of intelligent life they encountered. Their weapons were far more advanced than anything the peaceful species possessed. Worse yet, the battle stations seemed to be self-repairing, rebuilding themselves from the wreckage of destroyed worlds. "Our defensive fleets are useless," Admiral Yethval reported from the front lines. "Our ships were designed for exploration and peaceful contact, not warfare. We have no weapons that can penetrate their armor, no tactics that can match their killing efficiency." The Galactic Council faced the unthinkable reality that their peaceful civilization was about to be completely destroyed by ancient machines that knew only war. Panic spread through the chamber as representatives began discussing evacuation plans and surrender protocols. Then Dr. Yoon Haein stepped forward with a suggestion that stunned everyone present. "Perhaps we should ask humanity for help," she said quietly. "They are the only species in the galaxy with military experience and weapons designed for actual combat." The suggestion created an uproar. Many council members still feared and distrusted humans, despite the recent revelations about the misunderstandings between their species. The idea of asking the galaxy's most dangerous species for military aid seemed almost as frightening as the ancient threat itself. But High Counselor Zephram recognized the terrible truth. "We have no choice. If we do not accept human help, we will all die." Admiral Kim Soo-jin received the Council's request while reviewing tactical data aboard her flagship. The information about the ancient battle stations fascinated her in a way that would have terrified the aliens just months earlier. Where they saw unstoppable death machines, she saw an interesting military problem to solve. "Their pattern recognition systems are 50,000 years out of date," she observed while studying the enemy formations with Lieutenant Commander Oh Se-hun and Captain Lee Dong-wook. "Look at how they move, how they attack, how they defend themselves. These machines were built to fight the kind of civilizations that existed 50,000 years ago. What kind of civilizations were those? Asked Se-hun. Sujin smiled grimly. Honorable ones. Species that fought with tradition and ritual, that announced their attacks, that followed rules of warfare. The builders programmed these machines to fight civilized enemies. Captain Lee Dongwook understood immediately. But we are not civilized by their standards. Exactly, Sujin replied. We fight like survivors. We cheat, we improvise, we use whatever works. These ancient machines have no programming to deal with species that fight dirty. Dr. Yoon Hae-in, who had remained as humanity's liaison with the Council, asked the question that would determine the galaxy's fate. What do you recommend, Admiral? Sujin's answer would have once been interpreted as a threat. Now it was the galaxy's only hope. We fight dirty, she said with confidence. We use tactics these machines have never seen because no civilized species would ever think of them. The Battle of the Outer Rim began 18 hours later. Human forces engaged the ancient defense grid using strategies that violated every principle of honorable warfare that had existed in the galaxy for thousands of years. While the ancient battle stations expected direct frontal attacks, human ships hid inside asteroid fields and debris clouds, emerging only to strike at weak points before disappearing again. When the machines tried to track human vessels, they found nothing but empty space and floating rocks. The humans turned everything into a weapon. They used gravitational fields to bend space and time, making their attacks appear to come from multiple directions at once. They converted their own damaged ships into guided missiles, ramming them into enemy weak points at incredible speeds. Most shocking to the observing council members was how quickly humans adapted their tactics during the battle itself. When conventional weapons proved insufficient, they immediately began improvising with whatever materials they had available. Cargo containers became bombs, communication arrays became jamming devices, and even their food supplies were converted into explosive compounds. The ancient machines, programmed to fight predictable enemies, could not cope with humanity's chaotic and creative approach to warfare. Their 50,000-year-old tactical systems had no response to opponents who treated every rule of combat as a suggestion to be ignored. When the last battle station finally exploded in a brilliant flash of light, the galaxy fell silent. The impossible had happened. The ancient threat that could have destroyed galactic civilization had been defeated by the species everyone had once feared most.